Boo.
Ew.
It is, I mean, perfect. It's spooky season. Speaking of spooky season, do you want to know what I cracked open last night? You're not going to guess, actually. Metroid Dread for the Nintendo Switch. Have you heard?
No, I haven't. Tell.
Okay, Metroid, like Samus from Super Smash Bros. Like
Yeah.
orange power suit, space goddess realness, arm as a cannon. Metroid Dread is a 2D, they call it like a Metroidvania game, which is basically like Hollow Knight or like Ori and the Wisp, where you're like, it's a 2D game and you're running around and exploring. It's not like you don't go and reach an end goal like a Mario Bros level. It's like 2D exploration. And it is terrifying. You're being constantly pursued by these robots that if they catch you, it's a one-hit kill. It's fulfilling the niche I didn't know I needed, which is a futuristic horror space opera. It's perfect. Halloween is very soon. Highly recommend to anybody looking for a spooky season video game.
Yay! Did you hear that, folks? No more growing pumpkins on the island. You can just put shovels down.
Put your shovels
down. More vegetables.
And grab your intergalactic spaceships and head off to planet ZRB.
Right? Is that really? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. So you left me a little shook this morning because truthfully, I had not heard of what's happening to Kanye.
Kanye West has legally changed his name to Ye.
Really?
It's Ye or Yi. It might be Yi because like Jesus. But he's legally changed his name to Yi. And so in celebration, I was listening to Click on repeat all day.
Excellent. Okay. I wasn't sure. I actually Googled it before I called in, and then I was like, okay, I'm not going to get time to read that.
No, it was an arduous process, I'm sure.
Oh, brother.
Oh, brother.
Just in case anyone can hear the clicking and the dinging, I am currently at work, at the store, at the shop, in the studio. So we'll just disregard all of those noises.
There's a lot of people walking in and out.
Yeah, continue with the podcast. Okay, so.
Oh, dear.
I'm Jolie. I almost did it like last week. Hi, I'm G.I. Jolie. This is the Full Volume Podcast. Wait, that was backwards. Stop. Hi, and welcome to the Full Volume Podcast. I am your co-host, G.I. Jolie. And as always...
I'm your co-host, Harvey Brent. And today we're here to talk opinions, what we do best.
Mostly shade. Always just shading.
Shade, yeah.
Whoever we can. And today, it's not any surprise, but I'm already sharing my screen. So yeah, I hope you can see it. It's our tiered list. We're doing another tiered list. We'll share the Will Smith tiered list that I did with Joshua Marvell, just so that you can like prep your bodies for the video version of this podcast. But we're going to go through the MCU films because here's the thing. What if really took the shit out of me?
We need a break. We need a break.
Yeah, and like this is like garbage candy to me. So
yeah, well, I mean, garbage in the sense not a lot of these films are garbage per se, but we needed something light and fluffy, no stakes to talk about, but still related to the general brand, which is sassy comic book realness. I think.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm coming from, at least.
Yes, me too. I guess I also mean to say when I say garbage, I mean like actual garbage candy, like the candy that is called garbage candy.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, gotcha. The brand.
Yeah, so it's like nostalgia and sugary and something that I like to dig into every once in a while.
I'm sorry. No, okay.
That's okay. I think at first I meant garbage, and then I said candy because garbage is so harsh a word. So I'm not.
Yeah, no, I feel
not totally
I feel ya.
All right, so let's see here.
So before we start, what are
Oh,
we?
yes.
I was going to ask. So we are ranking the MCU films. I think it's the first 25, maybe, possibly. I could have the number wrong. It's in and around the 20s. Um,
Essentially.
what is our rough ranking criteria? Are we ranking these films on their charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent? Like, what is like the barometer in which we sway by?
Okay, so the barometer, let me just reshare the screen. So tiered lists generally have the same format all around, unless you're chaotic good and you just like create your own
Whoa.
tiering, which we shall not do. So you have your basics, right? You have your S, which is top tier, standing for superb, and then we have like your basic letter grades from A to F. So A being like almost perfect,
Mm-hmm.
but still containing flaws, and F being the Suicide Squad, the original.
I was gonna throw shade to you. You caught me first. F being Fantastic Four 2015. That's me. Crossing the finish line last, but Jolie
Right?
shades.
That's fine, and I don't think it's included in here, which it should never be. Though
Only
there
as like
are,
a baseline.
yes, a baseline for F. The person who created this list had the wherewithal to leave that shit out. So
Thank you, sir
yeah,
or madam.
yeah, for excluding all Sony that has to do with. Did they even include Venom? No, Venom's not here. Thank God. I mean, that's another thing. I think the only exclusions are the X films, Venom, and then I mean we could just cut this short. Yeah, and Fantastic Four. Only Tom Holland Spider-Man exists on this list.
Which, you know, given what's going to be happening in a couple months, maybe there's a chance to revisit this at some point with all of the films being roped in, because we're going to have to talk about Toby, we're going to have to talk about Andrew. But today we're talking about present day established canonical MCU films. Boom.
Correct. Okay, here we go. The list is in alphabetical order. Shall we do alphabetical, chronological, or released date?
Okay, hear me out. I'm gonna say I think what would help me judge the charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent the most would be if we talked about them in release order. Is that fair?
Yes, it is.
I have it up on my screen, so I can like tell you which one's next if you want.
Perfect. Let's
Okay.
do it.
Okay. Am I still like, is my face still on?
I think so.
You can see me?
I think so.
Okay. So starting with Iron Man, May 2nd, 2008.
Here we go.
This is a Favreau film.
Yep. Where does she rank? Do you know what? When it first came out, I would have put it here. Can you see that?
You put it in the A tier, which
And it was the only film, really.
Yes, that's the thing. Like, if we were talking 2008 comic book films, I think it would be an A. If we're talking grand scheme of MCU, I'm not sure. And let's talk about why it's going to fall a couple rungs on the ladder. It's do you want to start or should I?
You go first. I'm curious.
Okay, so Iron Man's a good film. It's definitely a good film. I don't think it deserves the D or the F tier. You're probably hovering around the B and C. It's I mean, casting of Tony Stark earns it major points. You got such a charismatic actor in the role. And they took such a I don't want to say he was a footnote in the comics, but Iron Man, for all intents and purposes, wasn't a major character like a Spider-Man or a Wolverine, you know, or someone in Marvel Comics. So I think Marvel gets points for taking the property and running with it at the time and turning it into its own franchise. You know, obviously, again, it becomes integrated into the MCU, but I think that it needs to be at least said at that point that it gets major points for kicking off the MCU and doing so successfully. If this film failed, you know, either critically or commercially, we would probably not have an MCU, possibly. Who
Correct.
knows?
Do you know
That'd be quite the what if episode.
what if Iron Man failed? Okay, so what I'll do for now, because I totally agree. I'm gonna put it in the B tier because we can always move it. We can always move her.
We can, and
Yeah.
it's it's fine. And like do you want to say anything about the plot? Anything about Shield? Like, is there anything to really like mention at this point aside from the fact that Terrence Howard used to play James Rhodes and no
Right?
longer does?
No, I mean the plot is clean. The characters are like it's pretty much an ABC action film with
It,
an Iron Man.
yeah, yeah.
There's
Okay.
like military government espionage level plot lines, and then but there's also like fun and humor and John Favreau.
Yes.
Oh man. Ooh, once you mentioned Terrence Howard, I was like, okay, see.
I mean, it's gonna be a B or a C. It's not a bad film. I don't dislike it, but I just feel like if we're ranking them relative to each other, which is like that if that's how tier lists work, I don't know. And maybe again, like you said, maybe it'll move. We'll see how we feel at the end of this ranking, but it's a B or a C for now.
Okay, so we'll leave her where she fell.
Yeah. Let's be
Okay.
conservative with our estimates. Okay, so number 2, grab a handle. You ready? It's
Mhm.
The Incredible Hulk, which was released only 5 weeks later, June 13th, 2008.
Oh boy, where is it in this list? Because I see the Edward Norton Hulk. Is that
Yeah,
the one?
that's the one, ma'am. The one before that, the 2003, was the Eric Bana.
Ah, okay. Okay,
Yes.
that's right. They never gave oh my god, how do you forget your boyfriend's name? I
What?
feel so much shame.
Mark Ruffalo?
Yes, that's it. That's it.
You have boys in every area code. It's hard. I get it.
Yep. um, they never gave Mark Ruffalo his own film, so that's why the confusion. Okay, so the Hulk. Here's the thing. I I have been a fan of Edward Norton since I was but a teen.
I
I
mean,
like
he scared the pants out of me in American History X.
right, and I went toe to toe with people about Death to Smoochie. So when he was cast as the Hulk, I lost my mind. It was amazing. I would place this in the B tier above Iron Man
Okay,
purely
yeah.
because
Sorry.
oh
Go.
sorry
No,
because
go.
as a film it sort of stands alone. The director's amazing. The story is a little bit wonky. The CGI is terrible, but like all around story, film like the quality of the film as a film itself. Uh, oh shoot! Now that I'm thinking about this, I'm taking my rose-colored glasses are just like falling away, and I'm like maybe this is a D.
That's where my mind was initially. I'm not gonna lie to
Okay.
you. I'm
Okay.
not gonna lie. I think Iron Man, if we're comparing what's on the list already, I think Iron Man is the superior film.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to be realistic.
But I have to give
And,
it points. I have to just give it a little shout out. The cast for The Incredible Hulk, there's some real heavy hitters in here that I don't think get enough credit. Like Liv Tyler, Ty Burrell, circa Modern Family. Tim Blake
mhm.
Nelson's in this. Tim Roth is in this. William Hurt is in this. Like it's actually got some really super underrated heavy hitters.
Yeah.
But in general, yeah, the plot is it's whatever. Like you said, the CGI is rough. Yeah, I'm gonna say D, but it was almost a
Okay.
C.
It was
Almost a C.
almost C.
Yeah.
Okay. I
So
think we can move
next.
on.
Oh,
Oh.
okay. May 7th, 2010, Iron Man 2. Directed
Ugh.
by, or written by, Jennifer Aniston's ex-husband, Justin Theroux. Don't know how that came to be, but here we are. Thank you. Oh, you went too far up. There you go. There you
Yep.
go.
Sorry, friends,
but
but
yeah, Iron Man 2. This actually might be my least favorite Marvel film. This might be the bottom of the barrel, actually, for me. Um, The only thing it gets credit for is the fact that it introduces Black Widow,
Hmm.
who super paper thin characterization, but whatever. They were just starting to experiment with the thread lines and how you introduce characters in different Marvel films. And Sam Worthington looks damn good as a villain. Or Sam Worthington, sorry, Sam Rockwell looks damn good as a villain. Mickey Rourke destroyed this film, whether
Yeah.
intentionally or not. He, as him as Vanko, woof. Like he completely overacted, and like I feel like he just thought the material was beneath him. Like he just was not treating it seriously, and like it took you out of it. I don't know if do you have any comment on Iron Man 2? It's not a good film by any means. The plot's terrible. Characterizations are paper thin. Villain is weak, which is typical of MCU films. Uh,
It
where
was
do you
just so,
stand on this one?
it was so terrible. It's one of those films I barely remember, other than to other than like small flashbacks. All of the marketing was Scarlett Johansson running around New York City in that awful weave,
Oh, but
awful
that what is that
bright
hair?
red Hardy
Oh,
City wig. Um, and again, paper thin characterization. They were just like, oh look, uh, we'll shoehorn Black Widow in here because everyone loves ScarJo. Right
insert
now,
female badass, female femme
right?
fatale. Like,
Yeah, and I think everyone, including myself and maybe you, were just like super disappointed, but able to look past it. That she didn't have a Russian accent.
yeah, that was a bit dumb. I agree
Yeah.
with you. I don't like the Americanization of characters. I hated it in the X-Men films too, with Storm and whatnot. I don't like when films do that. But that's a personal preference of ours. But
Mhm.
I agree. It's a strike against the movie.
Yeah. I also hated Mickey Rourke in this film. It looked like he got up every scene you see him in. It looked like he had just gotten up 10 minutes ago to film
Totally.
the scene, and it was really distracting how Dog the Bounty Hunter he looked and felt and acted, and
He
it
he was
just
almost like giving me Omega Red vibes with the whips. And I was like, oh, sick. That's what it reminded me of. But no, he's completely overacting in his scenes. Like he does not give a fuck. He thinks this material is hokey pokey. Maybe justifiably so though, because it's not a great script. So I don't know who to blame, Mickey Rourke or the screenwriter, Justin
right,
Theroux.
yeah.
Who's in charge here?
Also, I was like, how do we even talk about Justin Theroux being the director slash writer,
Screenwriter.
writer,
The director
writer?
was it was Favreau.
Oh,
There's a
I
lot
mean,
of blame going around, a lot of shame and a lot of blame here.
right? He worked really well with what he was handed, but when you were handed garbage, not even the most skilled of magicians can magic.
Not even the most skilled queen on Drag Race can make a dress out of that for a maxi challenge.
No, because as we saw, um, when you're handed paper bags, sometimes you just glue them to your bodysuit.
Oh, sometimes you do. That's what Iron Man 2 is. It is the La La Ree and the bag ball of the Marvel films.
Right?
Who La La Ree,
Oh,
we love you, but
yes.
that runway look was it had Iron Man 2 written all over it.
Yeah. Okay.
Next
Speaking of hot. Oh,
next is Thor, May 6, 2011.
oh, okay. So Thor.
Directed by Kenneth Branagh. I okay, this is what Thor has going for it. Um,
Mhm.
this is what it has going for it. It is the first film to give us, it kind of increased the scope of the MCU in terms of otherworldly beings, if you really think about it. Um, and I have to say, it is the rare MCU film that has generated a good villain for us. Would you not
Correct.
agree? Tom
I
Hiddleston as Loki, he's basically treated as an equal to Thor.
right. This is like a legacy film. I want to put it here.
Yeah, well,
Or
yeah.
maybe it is here, but honestly, to me, it's better than Iron Man.
I agree. It is better than Iron Man. So maybe that just justifies us that Iron Man stays in C. But Thor, it's it is it's still it's a product of its time. It's 10 years old. We've come a long way from it. I just think, and like the casting is perfect. They did a great job. Chris Hemsworth, Loki's great. Um,
Mm.
it's it's just a little bit of a product of its time. But like I said, the fact that Loki is treated as not so much an equal in terms of power, but he's given the proper amount of character development as Thor's brother, it makes it for a very engaging villain. And like it's shot Loki into in like I was gonna say infamy, but like he is arguably aside from Thanos the most notorious Marvel villain, maybe even more than Thanos. He's got so much charisma. He's maybe not as omnipotent as Thanos, but like they've written him to be such a complex character that this movie alone is the reason for that. So yeah, you're right. It has to be a B. It has to be.
Mhm. I mean, if we were basing this solely on charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent, it would hit check all those boxes.
Oh, it has the nerve, honey, and it it has the talent for sure. Yeah, and the charisma, and I guess uniqueness because it takes you up to Asgard. So yeah, it's a B
Mhm.
for sure.
It's a B. Okay. All right. I think
Look
we
at
are
the
both in
spread so
agreement.
far. I like the spread.
Yeah, she's looking dope. All right.
Um, Next we have released only 10 weeks later, Captain America: The First Avenger from July
Mm,
22nd, 2011. From my understanding, a lot of people like this film. Um, I don't dislike it. I don't think it's a badly made film. It definitely doesn't deserve an F or a D.
mhm.
Um, what it does get right is, it's a Chris Evans again. They did a great job casting Chris Evans. He and who I guess this is up to the direction in the screenplay, but they really get into what makes a hero a hero. Like he's so earnest and like
Mhm.
he really gets into heroes are the ones that sacrifice and he's sacrificed his whole I don't want to say his love story, but I mean he's sacrificed so much to be the icon that he is. I also have to give this film credit for introducing us to Hydra, for introducing us to Red Skull. Um, and Hydra is obviously such a through line throughout so many Marvel films that come after Captain America: The First Avenger. Um, it's got to be a C or a B. I actually might even I we'll leave it for C for now, but I actually might argue that it's a B to be honest.
I want to argue it for B as well
Okay.
because it's such a perfect or like retelling of the origin. You know how like you get your origin stories and it's like, oh cool, we get to watch Uncle Ben die again, or Martha
Oh,
Wayne.
hit the
Um,
snooze button.
right? We all sort of know what the origins of this character are,
Sort
but
of.
not
Yeah.
really. So I liked the the taking it back to the 40s,
Yes.
giving it a different time period. I think is our uniqueness. Um, is he charismatic? No, but
No.
Peggy sure is.
And Captain America is not supposed to be charismatic. He's earnest. He's just so honest and like serious and not ironic all the time. But that's part of who he is.
Yeah, it's the cast around him is really well done.
Yes.
So I would give it charisma points for Sebastian Stan and Captain Carter.
Who we stan Sebastian Stan. For sure we
Mm,
do.
yeah.
Oh yes.
Uh,
Anything else you want to say before we move on?
no, I think we're good at B. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm thinking B for the first Captain America. Okay, so now here comes May 4th, 2012. The movie on everybody's lips that dominated the cultural conversation, directed by Joss Whedon, written by Joss Whedon, but Marvel's The Avengers. You know it's a good
finally
one.
bringing finally bringing them all together in one film and closing it out with a scene in everyone's favorite like late night takeout place, shawarma.
A classic Windsor night for us. Um, I
Oh,
This film, okay, let me just say, this film would not be as good as it was if it wasn't for the previous five films.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? It benefits
Mm.
from having all of these people introduced already, all these heroes introduced. So in that way, it kind of has an unfair leg up. um, but it is the action is revolutionary. Like the way the action scenes are filmed, it it completely tied things together in a way that I don't think we've really seen other franchises. Again, it benefited from the fact that Loki was established as such a great villain in Thor that they were able to utilize him as basically the main big bad, in his use of the Tesseract and the Chitauri.
Yes.
Chitauri. Uh, this is a great film. It's done so well. It's bringing all these strong personalities and finally aligning them on the same tableau. It's got to be an A, possibly an S, but I don't know. Can you think of any
Yeah.
critiques that would keep it from S tier?
Um, the critiques. Okay, it keeps itself from falling into the S tier because, oh, geez, it's just, you know what? I don't know. Like, there's watchability, there's like the already established cast of characters. Oh, the recasting of the Hulk.
Yeah, which I
Into,
mean,
yeah,
we love Mark Ruffalo.
we absolutely love our environmental sisters. Um, yeah, do you know what? We'll be we'll be hanged, but so be it. As it is for
Yes, it is.
now.
Let them eat cake.
Yeah.
Um, okay, this next one,
Ooh,
this
she's
one is
itchy.
we're gonna be torn to shreds like a bunch of jackals.
Ugh.
This next one, released but a year later on 2013, May 3rd, is Iron Man 3. People love it or they hate it. And I can tell you why some hate it, and I don't blame them. I'm not a huge Iron Man purist, so I this doesn't offend me. But this is the film about Sir Ben Kingsley playing the Mandarin,
Oh, brother.
but Dizzy.
Uh, we find out later again after like in a in a legacy
Yeah.
sort of way that he is not. Um,
Which I
oh,
think
jeez.
earns a future film some points. We'll give those
Oh,
points to
yes.
Shang-Chi, but as it's taken at face value, this film is probably the biggest slap in the face of comic, continuity and lore that we've had in the MCU. And I think it probably rattled a lot of people and it soured a lot of people. I don't love this film. I
Mhm.
I don't know if it deserves an F, because I think it's
Mm,
better than Iron Man 2, but it is very sacrilegious.
yeah, if the religion is the Marvel Cinematic Universe and Stan Lee is our god, then it is full of sacrilege.
It's full of sacrilege. So
It's not better than Iron Man, so it's definitely a D.
it's got to be.
It's
It's
like a
got
D. 5.
yeah, it's almost a C tier. There's a lot of good things about it. I believe this is also the first film where Pepper Potts dons um, the suit, is it not?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I believe
that was
so.
cool. We love a strong female moment.
Mm,
But
we
it's
um,
what do we think of the plot of that one too? You're like, I don't remember.
right? It's not. Um, Absolutely, I would be lying if I said I remembered it because I don't.
I hope nobody's expected us to watch all 25 of these films before we did this ranking list.
No.
There's just simply not enough time. And even by the time we got done watching them, we would forget the first one that we started again. So like vicious cycle. I um you
I'm
know,
gonna
I
try to look for the. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze.
oh, she's going.
Oh, excuse me. I'm gonna try to look for the synopsis. Oh, here we go. Tony Stark encounters a formidable foe called the Mandarin. After failing to defeat his enemy, he embarks on a journey of self-discovery as he fights against the power. Again, that gives me nothing. It's a movie about the Mandarin.
The only like of note thing I remember from this plot is that it introduced Jarvis. the AI
Yeah.
system, which later
Yeah.
becomes a major plot point in Age of Ultron. So that's yeah, that's the only thing I can think of that can. But yeah, I think it's probably unfortunately comfortable in the D tier. I find it interesting that Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, those are really like the heavy hitters of the MCU to start, but all of their films rank relatively low. And we're gonna see that in a second because guess what's coming next? Thor: The Dark World.
Ooh, speaking of ranking real low.
Yeah, we're that's not top tier material, friends.
Mm, no. So Thor the Dark World, again, an incomprehensible plot line
Yeah.
involving Thor and Natalie Portman
Which like
and
the film,
Frostbite.
it's shockingly segmented, I feel like. Like it doesn't
Mhm.
really pick up until after Freya's funeral, but like the first bit of just Loki pacing in a jail cell, being Loki, the film is shockingly boring and nothing happens for the first while. Um, and so that, in a Marvel film, that is sacrilege, as we
Yeah, and
know.
it should have. It made a lot of money, and the plot was really like just A, B, C. Malekith is the whatever, the Lord of the Dark Elves, and he just wants to destroy the Nine Realms. It should have been successful, and it wasn't. Terrible.
It's not it's not a good film. It's unremarkable. Weak villain, again, classic MCU gripe, weak villain. It's
Yeah.
I would say it's worse than the Hulk and Iron Man 3, but I feel like it might be better than Iron Man 2. So like do with that information what you will. It's somewhere
Okay. So we'll put it there on the D tier, ahead of Iron Man 2. Wait,
or you have to move it over to the right one.
wait,
There you
there.
go. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
we're being nice to Thor the Dark World. It's barely skidding by on the fact that Chris Hemsworth is beautiful. We'll give it a D for that reason.
Yeah, and it gets a D also for casting Chris Eccleston, who, in my opinion, is an amazing actor and was a waste of a favor.
Yeah, kind of, eh? That was a big squander.
Yep, could have been awesome. Wasn't
And
awesome.
he looks so elfish. I'm just looking at him right now on Wiki. He was born to play that role.
Yeah, born to play it,
Our
apparently.
elf king. Um, okay, next. Okay. We're, we're whoa, we're gonna get down to business here. April
Oh no.
4th, 2014, directed by the Russo brothers, Captain America the Winter Soldier.
Ooh,
I think
okay.
we all know that this is a strong contribution to the MCU. It has aged very well.
Yes.
It's still in the conversation for best MCU film of all time. It's got to be A or possibly S. Like this film
Mhm.
really brings out that strained, incredibly long-standing tension between Bucky and Steve. So well done. The plot it punches you in the gut um, when they really get down to the fact that this is really like a conspiracy film, and it's a great film. I think it might be. I don't know. What do you think? S or A? Give me some thoughts.
It hit every single note that I wanted in like a sort of Captain America in a pseudo noir, like espionage kind of. Uh, it reminded me of like, I hate to say it, but like Ben Affleck in those like action thriller movies.
Oh, do you mean
When
Geely? No.
yes, that's what I meant.
Whew.
So it's obviously an F note. I meant chasing Amy, but
Petition for
ooh,
chasing Amy too, starting now.
yeah, I ooh, I think that this movie is better than the Avengers.
You know what? It might be because what it does is it deepens existing relationships. It introduces us to Arnim Zola, which I think is hilarious considering the end of What If. Maybe that's just like my short-term memory goggles clouding me here. Um, it furthers our understanding of Shield. It furthers our understanding of Hydra. Um, it's a great film, and like the redemption story for Bucky, like It's just Buck.
Yeah,
I
it's
have to say, I think
crazy.
Bucky might be the MVP of this film, to be honest.
Yeah, and it introduces doesn't it give us, is this the film where it gives us uh, a reason to what, oh my God, Daniel Brühl, what's his name?
Oh,
Zemo?
Zemo. I don't know if no Zemo's in
I
number
don't get
three.
Zemo's.
He's in Civil
Ah,
War. But
got
we
it.
do
Okay.
get. I think we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the fact that this is Anthony Mackie's. He's quite prominent in this film too,
Yeah.
as Falcon. So hello, Anthony
That's,
Mackie.
yep. That's where their love affair started, and that's where it shall remain. Because that show, when I think about it more and more, it's not that great. Okay, so S tier, but ahead of Marvel's Avengers.
Next is James Gunn, Guardians of the Galaxy, August 1st, 2014. I remember seeing this one. I mean, I've seen a lot of these in theaters, but in particular, I remember seeing Guardians of the Galaxy in theaters and thinking, wow, this is really different. I really like this. I really love this soundtrack. I really love the cheap Star Wars sci-fi aesthetic they went for. I think it's really cool. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Points alone for glamour. Oh my goodness, the uniqueness factor is off the charts. Um,
The nerve.
the nerve. I okay, so yes, this is a successful film financially, critically. This is a good film. The cast works well together. Chris Pratt, don't know if I like love him by today's standards.
No,
But
but
I
mm,
he yeah, I think he makes a good Star Lord question mark.
he does. But here's the thing, and I would say this checks the box of nerve in like a terrible way, but like, how dare you cast Bradley Cooper into the cinematic universe, and he's a fucking raccoon.
The nerve. He's beautiful. But he's
Mhm.
also arguably a standout of this film. Him and Groot together, really kind of showing us what mocap is all about in 2014. I think everybody forgot
Yes.
about Avatar in 2009 and was like, mocap. Pff. Um, Guardians is good. Ronan the Accuser,
Um,
um, better than the Dark Elves.
you know what? Not wrong.
Better than Ivan Vanko. Better than the Mandarin. Um,
And better outfits too.
Better the
There's just
outfits
something.
and 6'5" Lee Pace. Hello.
Yes, please. There's just something so like statuesque and Egyptian inspired about their whole aesthetic, and I,
Yeah.
for one, am here.
Yeah, I think this is a fun film. This is a good one. I want to. It's so different. It's given us, at this point in the MCU, it was so different than what came before it. I almost want to say it's B or A.
Okay, I'm going to. Ooh, girl, do you know what? I liked it better than Thor. I'm putting it in A tier.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I can think of many a nights that you and me and our friends in Windsor would play board games in the hot summer nights and listen to the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack on vinyl, as we were. Um, so this one's just it's hitting all the nostalgia for me. I do like this film,
Yeah,
definitely.
Redbone is just the soundtrack of my that summer. So yeah, no complaints from here.
Next,
Ooh.
we have another Joss Whedon contribution to the world. Thank you, Joss.
Mm.
Uh, Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Okay, girl.
Okay, so I guess we were kind of remiss to mention the fact that at the end of Winter Soldier, we were introduced to two twins with a Z. We had Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch and Aaron Taylor Johnson as the Quicksilver.
Mm,
Um,
that
uh,
Quicksilver.
that Quicksilver, which we'll get into in a second.
Mm,
I I don't hate this film. I don't think it's a bad film. I There's some problems with it though. James Spader as Ultron is a smug, smarmy, great voiceover. I think he did a great job as a corrupted, Jarvis. I think
mm.
that was great.
That is S tier level villainy for me.
Yeah, he's a great villain. This is one of those films we can't knock it for the lackluster villain. Avengers: Age of Ultron has a this is a good, I want to say, quote, one-off villain. Jarvis did exist, obviously, before Avengers: Age of Ultron, but he didn't turn heel until this film. You know what I mean? So, like in that respect, he's a one-off villain. The twins. Ugh.
Mhm.
Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch, incredible. Um, Aaron Taylor Johnson as Quicksilver. I don't dislike Aaron Taylor Johnson at all. I don't.
Okay.
Um, my problem is the way that they treated him and the fact that he's basically wearing sports athleisure wear as his top. Like he's giving me like Under Armour or for the gays, Gymshark, in that like tight long sleeve white silver t-shirt. It's bad costuming. Scarlet too. Scarlet Witch has it's bad costuming. Even I understand they're supposed to be like quasi civilians, terrorists at this point, whatever. Um, shame on them for that. Shame on them.
Yeah.
Shame on them for that. Shame on them for introducing Quicksilver and killing him off so quickly as well. I think they. I mean, I guess it kind of benefits us later because we got our Lord and Savior Evan Peters, but it didn't seem like
Yes.
an crazy big payoff at the time for Elizabeth Olsen to have a meltdown on the level that she completely destroys Sokovia. We, to as an audience member, I think you needed their relationship to simmer for a few movies before you decided to pull that trigger. Does that make sense?
It makes absolute and total sense.
Am I crazy there? No?
No, not at all. I remember when just as WandaVision was coming up, I only watched anything that you would have seen Wanda in. And when I was rewatching all that stuff, I was like, okay, well, I barely remember that Quicksilver. And he had actually like a lot of character. He was a man that cared deeply for his sister and the health and well-being of his sister and the health and well-being of Sokovia. But he was done wrong, and this was not the movie to introduce them. Or it was sure as hell wasn't the movie to like shoehorn them into the team and then kill one of them.
It just the payoff did not match the magnitude of the situation. Like it just I don't fault them for doing it, but they did it too soon, you
Because this
know?
is also the film where we get the Vision.
Oh my God, I didn't even mention that. Jesus. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, wait a second. The threat level was very high, and I was trying to remember why it was so high. Oh, that's right. It's because Ultron seemed almost totally invincible. Why was he defeated? Oh, yes, that's right. Because they were able to extract the Mind Stone and create the Vision. Um, that's why. So I wish they would have, knowing what came after this, um, because it seemed like they sped up a romance between the Vision and Wanda. They could have planted the seeds of something here instead of um, killing one sibling and virtually torturing another. Um, yeah, I want to put this under. Maybe it's a C tier. It's right there with Iron Man. It's not terrible. It establishes new characters. It moves some plot along, but it's not as bad as Edward Norton's Hulk or Iron Man 2 or Thor the Dark World.
I think it's C tier. I think it's C tier. I even remember thinking that at the time when I saw it in theaters, because like usually like your excitement goggles are on. You're like, ooh, this sequel's gonna be better. I remember thinking that about X-Men 3. And whoa,
I
grab
remember
grab the safety handle. We're taking it.
the world thinking it of the Phantom Menace. Ooh,
Oh, I know. You just and then you
what?
like it's almost like a form of grief because you're in denial.
Yep. Mhm.
You're in denial. So yeah, I think you're right. I think it's C tier.
Okay,
I think it's
excellent.
C tier.
Yeah.
Um, and then to round off phase two, we have Ant-Man released a mere 2 months later in
Yeah.
2015 with Paul Rudd, ageless Paul Rudd.
Mhm.
um,
Speaking of daddies.
ooh, this one, I
Oh, okay,
personally
okay.
don't care for the Ant-Man films too much. They're not my poison. Um, I don't I don't think it's a bad film. It just does nothing for me. I don't know. I guess it introduces us, and it doesn't even introduce us to the quantum realm. Oh, it does. Very
little
briefly.
bit.
Yeah. What stands out to you about this one?
Nothing. Okay. Do you know what? Not nothing. The standout parts of this film were definitely just Paul Rudd.
I know, that's the
Wait to say
thing.
it. That's the only thing I can remember. Oh, and it introduced an incredible actor to us. I can't remember his first name. Desmalchian. He plays the polka dot in Suicide Squad.
Oh, David Desmalchian.
That's it. Fantastic. He's in this film. Well, you see him in smatterings of other films, but he plays like one of the faithful sidekick-ish characters in
Right.
this film, which is fun.
We get Corey Stoll as Yellow Jacket,
Holy, yeah.
which I am a Corey Stoll stan.
What else? Whew. Mr. Catherine Zeta-Jones. He's the thing that is glaringly terrible about this film to me.
I
And
know.
it's in like a Mickey Rourke way, but like not reverse. It's like he's better than it, but he knows that he needs it as a vehicle for his career. So he doesn't play it like he's better than, but the subtext is there.
Totally. Yeah, I agree. He sticks out like a sore thumb in this film. When you get those like larger than life, like established old guard Hollywood actors, they don't seem to play well in this sandbox.
Mm-mm. And they seem to want to keep casting them. Nicole Kidman, Aquaman. Why? Why?
You
Why
know
do I
what?
have this old bag? Like,
And that makes me think like, you know what? Maybe like back when we were talking about WandaVision, maybe Al Pacino as Mephisto would have been a big mistake. I mean, granted, it was all a rumor and all that stuff, but like maybe that wouldn't have gone well.
maybe not. Maybe not. And I feel like Pacino plays in the same sandbox as Scorsese and is like, well, maybe of the same mind, where these giant blockbusters are kind of like above. He would actually say it and own that statement and never probably be in these films,
Yeah. Yeah.
which can't fault him for.
Okay. But where does it fall on the
So,
list?
well, here's the thing. For me, as much as I love Edward Norton's Hulk, it's better than that.
It's better than Hulk for sure. I think it's better than Iron Man 3. I think it's better than Thor the Dark World. I can't actually see where'd the tier list go right now. I can't see it.
Oh, she hasn't shared. She has to reshare her screen. There you go.
Oh.
There you go.
Whew, there it is. Yeah, I think you got it about right. I think it is a C.
Yeah, like I mean, some people would argue that it is a B tier, but not as good as as good as. Oh, do you know what? Maybe it is.
Thoughts?
But it's
Tell me why. Tell me why.
okay. Do you know what? It falls between a B and a C. So Iron Man. I think.
Okay,
You know,
I like that.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Not better than Iron Man, but better than Age of Ultron.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good spot for it. I agree.
Great.
And that was the end of phase 2.
Right. Is it for real? The end of phase 2?
That was the end of phase 2. But we still got many more to go.
We do. And if you want to, if you want to see us do it, if you wonder where in the world we're going to put the rest of this garbage, we're going to take it anyway.
Garbage candy.
Yes, this garbage candy. Because you know what? There are some juicy bits. And it includes Tom Holland's Spider-Man Man films. Tune into next week's episode of the Full Volume Podcast. Wherever you listen to podcasts, you can also watch our darling faces. Let me just do this. You can also watch our darling faces on www.comicbooksyndicate.com. We upload all of these episodes every Sunday, I try, to YouTube. So have a look and a listen there or on our website. Apple Podcasts, Spotify.
iHeartRadio.
iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, pretty much wherever you listen to podcasts. We're available on the Comic Book Syndicate Network or Full Volume Podcast. Until next time, I have been your co-host, G.I. Jolie.
And I've been Harvey Brent.
Keep it loud.
Keep it at full volume.
Bye.
Bye-bye.